Hey, this is Eddie Olczyk. You're listening to Empty Betters with Nick, Mac, and Harrison.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 97, getting close, of Empty Betters. I'm your host, Nick Manell, and I'm going to go ahead and throw it across to the only other guy that's with me today, Mac Vogel. What's going on, bud?
It's going good. Yeah, it was a bummer that we had to fire Harrison, but he wasn't pulling the weight at the end of the day. And I mean, the biggest factor just was he was a Penguins fan, and it was getting to be too much. And you can't surround yourself with people like that.
No, absolutely not. It was one of the things that I think HR found most appalling on his employee peer review. So, tough decisions were made, but unfortunately, he's no longer with us.
He's where the hell even is he right now? He's in Mexico or something.
He's
like
in
that?
like Texas at night and Mexico during the day. So I don't know what he does for a living, but
Amarillo by morning. I see.
Yeah, exactly. A little George Strait reference there.
Yeah.
I don't know what he does for a living, but seems like he's making a couple trips back and forth. So do with that what you will.
All right, fair enough. Well, we have some good stuff to get to today. So why don't we dive in?
Absolutely. Before we jump into anything, though, we do want to say thank you so much to everyone that came out to the watch party at Don't Know Tavern last week. Great game between the Caps and the Rangers, if you're a Caps fan. Not necessarily, I think, the title fight that we were expecting. We had a couple scraps here and there, but none of the heavies went at it. Just want to say a huge thanks to everyone that Don't Know. The owner was there. The bartenders were great. Sam, the bartender in particular, but everyone on the staff made us feel so welcome, did a great job of accommodating us. And if you've ever worked in the restaurant industry, which you and I both have, that definitely goes a long way. And we know how hard those people work. So really appreciate it and appreciate all the support as always.
Good stuff. Yeah, I hope Empty Betters can host another little watch party like that sometime soon, and I'll be able to make that one.
Hopefully like a lot of fun. We'll have the jet by then. So we do have an interview guest this episode for you guys, and definitely an entertaining one. It is two-time Stanley Cup champion Kris Versteeg. One of the funniest interviews we've had. This guy does not hold back at all. He's a funny guy. Isn't shy about talking about, his favorite music. If you checked out the reel that we posted on Instagram today, he's not shy after a few pops for a little karaoke either. So definitely are going to want to check that one out. Before we hop into the news, Mac, topic of the day, what you got?
All right, this is a weird one, so everybody just hang with me. But I feel like I'm hoping a lot of people might be able to relate to this one. Maybe I'm just weird, but maybe not. Let's see. So did you ever have, like, when you were younger, any sort of like weird game that you like made up either with your friends or like with your family, but just like, does any game come to mind that you completely just like made up and sometimes would play? This could be anything. This is kind of broad. Like, it could be something you played in the car. It could be more of an actual like sport type of thing that you and your siblings played in the yard or something. And maybe it's not fully made up. Maybe it's an offshoot of something else, but you see what I'm getting at. I obviously do have something like that because I'm asking this question, which is kind of ridiculous, but I'm gonna let you go first if you have anything ready.
I think I do. So I think, like any kid can come up. You could get like a group of 4 boys a rock and they'll like put a game together with it.
Exactly.
Like, hide
this is
the rock.
Going in the right direction.
Right. Throw the rock at like your friend or something like that, But I think the one that jumps to mind for me actually comes from when I was more of like a teenager. I used to, like every kid that was like a swimmer growing up, which was pretty much my entire life. I also was a lifeguard, as like a, part-time summer job, part-time winter job, whatever. And this is kind of bad, but like after hours at one of the pools I would work at, like a bunch of the lifeguards, we're all around the same age. We would stay after work a couple times, hang out, swim in the pool, take it easy, sit on the roof of the guard office, listen to music, relax, do what teenagers do. So go ahead and just do the math. One of the things that we enjoyed doing at this pool, which is the pool that I also swam for growing up, which had a giant white sort of like spiral slide. It was probably like 100 feet in the air at the top. It was reasonably a quick slide, but there was a way to make it go really fast. Was if how at a water park, a water slide, there's water running down the slide, right? So to do this, what you do is you run that water and someone walks up the slide backwards to kick water all over the sides of it. Then you cut that water. And basically what you've done is now turned it into a giant slip and slide. So now you're going really fast. And it's to the point where like you couldn't pick your head up because the G-force that you were pulling was so much. And this is really dangerous. We would overshoot the landing pool and like hit the wall and like land with our feet up on the pool deck. But it was so much fun. And I'm not going to say the name of the pool or the company that I worked for, but
holy cow.
Had some good times doing that.
That's pretty great. That's a good one. That was a good answer. Mine is, it's funny because what you just said is making me think of something else that I did at a certain golf course that I may or may not have worked at. And I think I told you about this already, but we won't. Yeah,
you did.
We won't go down that line. But what I will say is the game that came to mind for me was that growing up, we were close with our neighbors to the point where like I was friends with the kid that lived there. And then my dad was close with like his dad as well. So we'd hang out in the neighborhood, and it was actually my neighbor's dad that coined this game with my dad, oddly enough. And they would play. And then one day, me and my friend, his son, were like, what the hell are you guys doing? And they like taught us how to play. And so we'd play it around our neighborhood. And the name of the game is called shoe golf. And I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like. You basically, on your dominant foot, you slip your foot off, slip your heel out of the shoe, and you just have like the front of your foot in the shoe. And you both start at the same tee box. You pick something, either a stop sign or wherever you guys are at in the neighborhood. You both tee off from the same spot, and you pick a tree off in the distance or a big light post, or could pick a stop sign, something like that. And you basically fling the shoe off as far as you can towards the hole, towards whatever you've decided is that hole number one. And then you got to like either run with one sock and one shoe, or hop on the one shoe foot all the way over to your shoe. And you got to play it as it lies too. So like you can flip it over to get your foot inside of it. But if it's like facing the wrong way, you got to try to like fling it.
Oh, then you got to go like over your head with it.
Yeah. And so like, beside you and take another stroke on it or something. But you basically keep track of your score. And we would play like 5 or 6 holes, and we'd be at the other side of the neighborhood by the time we're done. And you're just picking different things in the neighborhood to fling it at. We used to have a blast with it, but it's the dumbest thing. You don't need anything for it. You just need your shoes. Even sometimes now, like if I'm drunk with friends walking home late at night or something.
I was going to say that's got walking home from the bars written all over it.
Play a quick hole on your way home. Yeah, it's a good time.
There was a couple times, I mean, one of the disgusting frat houses that I lived in was like basically 2 minutes from all the stretches of bars that were the stretch of bars that was in Towson. And so we would take like these back neighborhood streets to get there and be at the bar in 2 minutes. So every now and then, we would play like catch or tag on the way home. And, you can probably imagine how that went, with the boys doing that on the way home. But that's a great game. That's kudos to your dad and your neighbor's dad for coming up with that one.
Yeah, good stuff. Shout out shoe golf and any other real ones out there that maybe invented the same game. I'm sure they're out there. It's not that hard to invent something like that, in my opinion, but
so like what was your shoe of choice for shoe golf? Because like part of me is thinking maybe like the good old fashioned like tennis shoe would be good, like a sneaker,
Yeah, I mean,
light, can go far.
When you're a kid,
bounce.
Anything is a slip on, even if it's got laces on it. You don't use the fucking laces ever. So
I still don't.
Right, me either. But I did have like my school shoes were these brown Merrill slip-ons, like the classic, just like ugly ass brown Merrill slip-on, no laces on it.
Straight out of the catalog.
That one was pretty perfect for it. And from kindergarten to 8th grade, we would walk home because it was only about probably like 4 or 5 blocks from where I lived. And so we would often play on our walk home from school, and that Merrill won me many holes. Shoe golf.
It's up there in the hall.
Definitely. Yeah. That's the OV stick that is like, my shoe.
I love it. All right. Well, before we hop into news, why don't you tell everyone about the great company that is Brackish Life?
Don't mind if I do. Yeah, let's take a minute to talk about Brackish Life. If you're like us and grew up on the water and outdoors, then Brackish Life is perfect for you. They have a wide selection of gear from UV shirts to hoodies and hats. It's real Bay apparel made by real Bay people. Head to head to brackish.life today to check them out. A little salty, a little fresh, Brackish Life. And don't forget, Brackish Life is also teamed up with Rink to Reef Chesapeake Bay to preserve the area many of us call home. Rink to Reef repurposes broken hockey sticks into oyster restoration habitats. Brackish Life donates a portion of the proceeds to Rink to Reef to further preserve the beautiful Chesapeake Bay area. Support this great cause by checking out www.brackish.life today. Nick, let's get into the news.
Nice. Well, unfortunately, we have some sad news to add to an already very sad story. It was released the other day that former NHL player Jimmy Hayes had cocaine and fentanyl in his system when he died. His family told the Boston Globe on Sunday. For those that don't remember, Hayes was found dead at his home in Boston on August 23rd, the day after celebrating his son's second birthday. He was 31 years old. I hope getting Jimmy's story out there can save someone's life. Hayes' father, Kevin, told the Boston Globe, if this can save someone from the pain, great. I'm just so sad. I pride myself on being pretty mentally strong. I'm a street guy, but there's just no formula to this. You have a beautiful all-American boy who made a terrible mistake and it cost him its life. I mean, it's just so unfortunate to hear. And, you know, to know that the guy was going through and was in pain, it's the worst. And you just feel for the family.
Definitely. Yeah. Said it before, said it again. Prayers and thoughts go out to them. Good on his dad for trying to, look at what good might be able to come out of this situation. We're definitely seeing a lot more people talking out about this, which is good. But, we want everybody to be able to speak if they're going through something. So hopefully, like his dad said, this can eventually turn out to help a lot of other people that might be struggling.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on, Evander Kane has been suspended 21 games by the NHL for violating the COVID-19 protocol. The Sharks forward will be ineligible to play a game in the league until November 30th. In addition, the NHL has also found no evidence to support the claims of domestic abuse from Kane's wife, thereby ending the league's other investigation into the player. That comes to us from Bleacher Report. Kane said, I would like to apologize to my teammates and the San Jose Sharks organization, along with all the fans, for violating the NHL COVID protocols. I made a mistake, one I sincerely regret and take responsibility for. So this was one of the scenarios, I think, between this and the Jack Eichel thing that we had talked about for like the last 7 episodes that was up in the air. We finally get some closure on it. It didn't necessarily, I know the investigation surrounding him was into him submitting a fake COVID-19 vaccination card, but it never said if that was the ultimate result of it or not. But basically the guy violated the protocol. And as we learned last season, the NHL is going to be quick to slap you with a fine or a penalty if you do that. So, he owned it. He said it's a mistake he's got to take responsibility for. And what are your thoughts on it?
So what's interesting to me is we recently talked about, are we ever going to see Evander Kane in a Sharks jersey again, in an NHL jersey again? What's the future look like for this guy? I'm looking at his contract now. He is signed all the way through the season 24-25 with the Sharks. So like 25-26 is when he would become a UFA. That's a while from now. So it's not the kind of situation where it's like you have a player that suddenly you're like, oh no, we don't want this guy on our team. We can easily just like terminate his contract or like, not re-sign him next year or whatever. Like the Sharks are kind of stuck with him. So unless they can find somebody who is desperate and wants to take a gamble and trade for him and pay him all that money, he's making $7 million this year, and yearly cash around $7 million.
Something tells me they're going to be keeping like 5 of that 7.
Yeah, if they can find a suitor. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what happens. It sounds like Kane is doing his best to try and bridge the gap here and mend the situation. It seems like he wants to play for the Sharks again. So we'll see, what the team thinks of that and what the league thinks of it when we get a little closer to November 30th. But it'll be interesting to see. It seems like this guy can't stay out of the news headlines for long. So November 30th is over a month away. I feel like something's going to happen between now and then.
Yeah, and it's just, what's the vibe in the locker room? Like, I did see Vlasic said something earlier today, very typical, like, hey, we're just focused on playing hockey. It just seems like the guys don't even want to dignify these questions with responses anymore. And they're probably sick of it. I'm sure the coaching staff and the fans are sick of it. So hopefully this just gets resolved. I personally don't think we're going to see him play another game in a Sharks uniform. I think they're going to, do something where they're able to move him, but I think they're going to be eating a lot of that contract to do so.
I think it'll also depend how well the Sharks are doing around November 30th or slightly before that.
That's a good point.
Because if they're doing really well, it's like, yeah, fuck this guy, get him out of here. We don't need him. We don't want to bring a cancer into a locker room that's doing really well right now. However, if they're down in their luck, it's still early in the season. That's not too late to try and turn things around. If you're like, shit, this was our best player last year, which he was, honestly. Maybe we just give him another chance, bring him in, see what happens. Who knows? It's a toss-up right now. I can't say for sure if I think we're going to see him or not in Sharks jersey again.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on, Washington Capitals superstar Alex Ovechkin scored twice in his NHL debut and is now 5th all-time on the NHL career goals list. Scored twice in the team's 5-1 stomping of the New York Rangers, giving him 732 career goals in 1,198 games. That moved him past Hall of Famer Marcel Dion into the sole possession of 5th place all-time in NHL career goals. So kudos to Ovi. He goes up another rung on the ladder and passes Marcel Dion, who I think you can probably say is the best player on that goal scoring list to never win a Stanley Cup. I would.
Yeah. I don't think you're far off saying that.
Yeah. Going on down the list again, the Toronto Maple Leafs sported TikTok decals on their helmets Wednesday night for the season opener against the Montreal Canadiens. The team's parent company announced a deal with TikTok earlier Wednesday for the social media platform's logo to appear on players' helmets throughout the season. So it looks like the Leafs are making moves. By the way, did you see how much that franchise is worth?
I did. That's bonkers. They're number one, right?
By miles. It's not even close. $2 billion. Wow. The Leafs
compare that to the Coyotes.
Yeah, which I think barely cracked $400,000.
Right. Yep.
Oof. The Leafs also used University of Toronto goaltender Alex Bishop as their backup to starter Jack Campbell the other night when they defeated the Ottawa Senators 3-1 at Scotiabank Arena. The 24-year-old was signed to an amateur tryout contract because the Leafs were unable to recall a goalie from the American Hockey League due to NHL salary cap constraints. Goaltender Peter Mrazek sustained a groin injury in a 3-2 loss to Ottawa on the previous Thursday.
Dude, this blows. I like Peter Mrazek. I was big on him when we were previewing the divisions. I was talking about how I think that's awesome that they have him to back up Campbell, and now it sounds like he may not play this year. It's unfortunate, man. The dude is kind of like Michael Neuvirth, where it's just one thing after another, and in between injuries, he shows signs of being a really steady Eddie goalie. I remember Neuvirth right after we traded him, set the save record for Buffalo or something like that. He literally had 50 plus saves or something like that.
He was the starter until Braden Holtby comes along.
Yep. And Mrazek has done stuff like that too. He's had a couple of shutout streaks, if I'm not mistaken, of 2 or 3 games and stuff like that. He's a totally good, solid tender, but he just can't stay off the IR, and you got to feel for a guy like that. It's a bummer, but
yeah, for sure. The Michael Neuvirth comparison, I really like that one. That's good. The Seattle Kraken picked up their first franchise win last week with a 4-3 dub over the Nashville Predators. I don't know if you noticed this, but one of their fans also beat the crap out of a Preds fan in the stands. So it's good to see that their fans are really taking to this hockey thing.
That was crazy. That was an absolutely bonkers video. I couldn't believe
the two franchises that you would least expect to have a fight in the stands between.
Yeah, I gotta know what the hell was going on between those two before. It had to be something
just assholes.
unrelated.
Yeah. Ilya Kovalchuk has been named the Russian Olympic Committee's men's ice hockey team general manager for the upcoming 2022 Beijing Winter Games. The Russians are going to rely on former NHLers behind the bench as well. Alexei Zhamnov is going to take on head coaching duties, while Sergei Fedorov, Evgeny Nabokov, and Sergei Gonchar will be the assistants. I think we've all heard of those guys before.
That is so sick. All those names are like some of my favorite players from growing up.
I just wish I could watch those guys play.
I know, right? And
Yeah.
I think it's crazy that Ilya Kovalchuk is going to be the GM of the team. Like, he's a pretty young guy, but I mean,
he's older as far as like the Russian players go, but you just
like,
I just thought he was going to play until he was like 50.
4 or 5 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's not that far removed from being able to actually be on the team, and now he's out here being the GM. But I kind of like it. I mean, he knows more about like what the team needs than probably some old guy would. So
Ovi's just captain immediately, right?
It better be. I mean, they're buddies, right? They played together briefly. So
right. I think Ovi's second son is named Ilya, right?
I think you're right, isn't it? Yeah. Sergey and Ilya.
Yeah.
There you go.
Austin Matthews made his return last night against the New York Rangers. He was pointless in his debut, and the only Leafs goal was scored by Michael Bunting. Did you catch that overtime?
Yeah, that was unbelievable. I didn't catch it live, but I watched a replay of the entire overtime this morning. Unbelievable. That's hockey, baby. As what's his name? Always says that.
John Forsland.
Yeah, right. No, that was incredible. And shout out to both goaltenders. Holy shit. They both made some incredible saves, Igor and Jack Campbell. Honestly, I was surprised that the Rangers ended up winning it. Like, the Leafs' chances in that game were even better in my opinion.
Second period, they were out shooting them like 15-2.
There's been a few, and I can't remember between which teams, but there's been at least 3 or 4 3-on-3 overtimes like that one in the last like couple of years since they introduced the 3-on-3 format for overtime. And it's just electric when there's teams trading chances and both goalies are dialed in and they want that extra point.
Back and forth 2-on-1s.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, oh God, that's hockey, baby. I said it before. I'll say it again. That is hockey, baby.
Yeah, I loved you shared that on your personal story, and you're like, anyone who wants to tell me hockey's boring, just watch this. And it's so true.
It's just like, even if you're like, I don't like sports, and you watch that clip, you're gonna be like, holy shit, that was electric.
It was. Nathan McKinnon is going to make his season debut against the Washington Capitals tonight, which is Tuesday, October 19th. He missed the first 2 games of the season after testing positive for COVID-19 over a week ago, although he was asymptomatic. So the Caps are going to lose tonight now.
Nate Mack in, Gabe out, right?
I think so.
Okay. And now this is the first time we're playing the Avs with no Gruby, right? So it's probably going to be Kemper. I don't know if they've confirmed it. Probably going to be Kemper. I know they did confirm Sammy is getting his first start tonight for the Caps. It's also worth noting, I don't believe that he has played against the Colorado Avalanche before, right? Because
I don't know if he has.
He would have. He played obviously last season against only those division teams, and then the year before that, I think he maybe had a couple games with us, but that was it. So I would wager he's never played the Avalanche before. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, and if my memory serves me right, McKinnon normally torches the Caps.
Yeah, honestly, the Avalanche normally torch the Caps. I have a memory of playing them recently, and it was like 4-0 in the first period. You remember the one I'm talking about? And
we were recording during that game, and I remember Harry just giving me the business because we had it on the TV in the background. But
so annoying.
Yeah,
I will say another fond memory of Caps Avs recently is Orlov. Absolutely, like,
I was at that game.
I think it was Matthew Shane, wasn't it? Wasn't it 9 against 9?
It was 9-on-9. Yeah, I remember.
Got low
and just
open ice him. And just incredible hit.
That was one of the first hockey games my girlfriend and I went to together, and she still says to me all the time, she's like, "Do you remember when we were at that game and Orlov flipped that guy up in the air and he landed on his back?" I was like, "Yeah,
so sick."
Yeah,
Orlov loves those open ice hits.
He low key one of the best open ice hitters in the NHL.
Yeah.
Feel good story of the week before we move on to the Kris Versteeg interview here. Hendrix Lapierre scoring his first NHL goal in his first NHL game with the Caps and getting to do it while being on the ice and on the bench with his childhood hero, which is Ovi, is just so cool because that was all of us as kids. And then to like watch someone do it, although I feel 1,000 years old saying that he was born in 2002, but it was just so cool. And his, like, everyone's reaction, because, you know, the
Buddy
Caps
can't even go to the bar yet. And he
right,
scored,
he can't even go to the bar yet.
Scored
The
his
poor
first
kid.
NHL goal assisted by TJ Oshie. Like,
Right.
how does that work, man? That's crazy.
I love the reactions of all the, you know, sort of like the old Caps players now who are like all 30 plus are just going bananas for this kid because they're just so excited.
Of old farts, and they're probably
right.
just nostalgic about their first goals. And they're like,
right. When was the last time someone on the Caps roster scored their first NHL goal, like in a Caps uniform? Like, I feel like it's been years.
McMichael hasn't done it yet.
No.
There's got to be a couple like random Bears guys that filled in for injuries maybe last year or the year before.
Like Brian Pino or someone.
Yeah, or Daniel Carr, or
Beck
like somebody
Malenstein.
like that. It's somebody like that for sure within the last year or two, but it wasn't nearly as an electric as this one, because this is also like one of our top prospects, and it's just a really good sign to see something like that. You look at all the like really amazing players that scored goals in their first NHL game. We were talking about Malkin and about Ovi. They both did it.
Matthews
Ovi had 2.
Had 4.
Matthews had 4. Yeah, right. I mean, there's a lot of greats
Fabian
out there
Brunstrom with the Stars, you know, he had 3.
Yeah, Alexander Daig.
Right.
Actually, I don't know if he scored in this first, but
I don't think so. Congrats to Hendrix again. That was awesome. Before we hop into the Kris Versteeg interview, we just want to remind everyone that summer may be over, but there's still never been a better time to get out on the water. Are you looking to finance a new boat or yacht you have always dreamed of? Well, you are in luck, because the Yacht Lender is a specialist in marine finance. With partnerships with 15 different banks, he is the right lender for whatever vessel you may be in the market for. Backed by Trident Funding with over 25 years as an industry leader, the Yacht Lender has the expertise and know-how to finance the boat of your dreams. You can see the Yacht Lender at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show from October 27th to the 31st. So go check him out in Florida. I don't know if I'll pay for your flight, but that sounds kind of nice. Don't wait. Apply today at www.yachtlender.com or check him out on Instagram at yachtlender to see others who have already gotten out on the water. Let's go ahead and toss it off to Kris Versteeg right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, where our next guest won 2 Stanley Cups with the Chicago Blackhawks. He played over 640 games in the NHL. Mr. Kris Versteeg, welcome to the Empty Betters podcast.
Thanks for having me, guys.
So why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and how you started playing hockey in the first place?
Well, I grew up in North Lethbridge. It's we're pretty proud about saying we're from the north side in Lethbridge, Alberta, and basically hockey is something I remember from, you know, some of my very first memories with my father bringing me to the rink, or my grandfather, and then all the way to my first hockey school at this that the Sutter brothers owned. And obviously it takes you right to today. So it all started in Southern Alberta, and it's pretty much shaped me into who I am today.
So you're pretty much just born right into the thick of it then.
Yeah, it's not like my father was a hockey player. He grew up on a farm. He was a cattle rancher and a farmer. And my mom, she played baseball. They both liked hockey, but it wasn't really it wasn't like I came out of the womb with skates on, you know. It was more just like, I remember my dad loved the 80s Oilers though. And that was kind of how it ignited his love for hockey. And then once I was able to skate and hold a stick, that's kind of where he pushed the Oilers on me. And I think that's where I started to love playing around the house, love playing on the street. And then obviously I just remember my earliest memories being on the ice. There's no better feeling. And I'm pretty sure you guys can attest to that.
Yeah, absolutely. Who were some of your idols from those Oilers teams?
Oh man. So I remember Marchand, or is it Todd Marchand, right? And the Ryan Smith days in the early 90s. And then I ended up playing against them, which was kind of crazy. But I still remember that Todd goal against Dallas. I was watching it in my friend's basement when he came flying down and went low blocker. That was like one of the craziest goals ever. And kind of around that time, I started to transition into a Detroit team because my dad forced basically Edmonton on me all the time. By the time I got around 11 or 10, I was like the most hardcore Steve Yzerman fan. Kind of around that time, I was still cheering for the Oilers, but I guess they were an easy team to cheer for because they were winning all the time too. But it was just Steve Yzerman was just my absolute idol as a child, even more than any Oilers. I mean, I would have loved to have remembered the 80s Oilers, but I would only have been 1, 2, 3, 4 years old. So I don't really have any fond memories of those teams. But the 90s, it had to be, Todd, because he was a smaller guy. He was fast and kind of obviously reminded me a little bit of myself, someone I could look up to and kind of mirror myself after.
Sure. Who were some of the, you mentioned him. Were there anyone else that you tried to model your game after at all?
Well, so again, growing up in Lethbridge, I think I only been to one NHL game. It was when my dad brought me to watch Wayne Gretzky play for the LA Kings. We couldn't afford going, right? It wasn't something that we had access to. And this was like a save all year type of thing to save up to go to one game and sit in the nosebleeds at the very top section in Calgary. So I just remember my idols were actually junior hockey players. I don't know if maybe some people on the podcast kind of, I guess, feel the same way about that, but his name was Todd Mcisaac. And he was, again, number 10, played for the Lethbridge Hurricanes. And he actually reminded me of Todd Marchand what's the hell's his last name again? The NHL guy.
I think it is Marchand. Am I mistaken?
I think it is.
Here?
I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. I might have
I feel like
It's
I'm
Marchand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, holy hell. But they're
works for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah. But Todd Mcisaac was very similar. He was small. They're both left shots though, but he always did this wraparound goal. And I remember he was my best friend billeted him as well. And actually, so there's a couple correlations with that. Number 10 is the number I always wanted to wear as a kid because of Todd. And we actually my mom ended up losing a baby, right, pretty close to childbirth. And we named him Todd after Todd Mcisaac because it was all my brothers and mine favorite players. So it's 10's a very special number to me. And Todd Mcisaac was like God to me. So every time he'd come, he'd play street hockey with me. He would teach me little things on the street, as well as my neighbor, my good friend, whose house he lived at. So it's kind of, I don't know if there's any junior hockey players who ever listen to this. When young kids get to be around you, they definitely look up to you, and there's an aura that'll, that follows you around. So, go out and play with them, play on the street, man. It made a massive impact on my life. And still to this day, over any NHL hockey player, Todd Mcisaac was the guy I looked up to.
Wow.
So it's funny because you talk about how he played for the Hurricanes, and then I'm looking over here at your junior career where you spent, looks like 5 seasons in the WHL from 02 to 06. Do you want to walk us through your junior career and some highlights through there?
Yeah, I played 4 years. So I played 16, 17, 18, 19. And my first 3 years were in Lethbridge. So again, playing in my hometown in front of friends and family. I was actually never drafted to the WHL. I was a bit of an undersized guy. And back in those days, early 2000s, you pretty much had to have a mustache at the age of 14 in order to be drafted. It's crazy. Like if you were undersized, they wouldn't even look at you, like from the start of the game. So I had I still ended up making it as an underage, a 16-year-old, had a couple of years. Obviously I had a lot of maturing to do and gotten, having fun off the ice was a little more enjoyable to me than grinding on the ice, until I really understood what it took after I got drafted. And that's when I got traded to Red Deer and had a good sit down with Brent Sutter on, basically he said, when you want to be, you're the best player here and the best player on the ice every night. And when you don't want to be, I don't know what the hell you're doing. So I remember that was like a conversation that resonated with me. And the next year, I kind of put my shit together. I went to work in the summertime. I put on 20 pounds and basically I think I finished second in scoring in the AHL as a rookie. In the AHL rookie scoring. And I believe I finished 13th in the entire league and had over a point a game as a 20-year-old. So that was like one of those times where I just kind of had to fuck up and stop being such a fucking whiner and just do my shit. So it ended up working. I put a lot of work into it. And that kind of step was where it paid off to where, you know, I ended up having a great career. It was that conversation with Brent Sutter. And then the next year at 20 with Flash Gordon, Scott Gordon, giving me my opportunity to actually make the team as an underage in the AHL, because playing in the AHL at 20 back then was a little less likely than compared today. Right now, they really force the young guys in. Like the AHL was like a 25, 26, 27-year-old league. Now the AHL is like 19, 20, 21, 22. It's a much different league. So it was very rare for young guys, but I got an opportunity and I relished it. I also got to play David Krejci too on a line, which was pretty cool. We were both 20-year-olds there together and lighting it up and having lots of fun on and off the ice. It was a great time.
It's pretty cool that you're able to kind of pinpoint one exact moment where you feel like your career kind of took that next step and launched it into what it ended up being. Do you remember kind of feeling that way when it happened or shortly after it happened, or did it take some time until you kind of had time to reflect back on your career for you to really realize that, would you say?
No, I kind of knew this moment. So like I was 19 again. I did that. I put on 20 pounds of muscle, went to really a lot of work, showed up at 20. And then about a year later, I was playing against all these guys that were now making the NHL, but they were first round draft picks. And I had more points than them in the A. So I remember like for like the years in the A, I'm getting a point a game. I'm playing better than all these first round picks and they're going to the NHL. And I was like, fuck these guys, man. They're not that good. Like I felt like that. Right. Yeah. And that's just my mentality. It kind of sounds crazy, but I'm like, I'm way better than these guys. Even some of my own teammates, I'd be like, I'm way better than this guy. Why is he in the NHL and not me? And I'm playing good and I'm lighting it up. So I remember the summer though, I put in all the work. I was doing great. And before my 22-year-old year, I was telling all my buddies at home, I'm going to be up for the rookie of the year. And I'm like, there's just no doubt. And I wasn't on anyone's radar or anything. And I just had this feeling like I was going to go off. I was going to make the NHL and I was going to have an incredible year. And that year I ended up making the Hawks and I was up for rookie of the year. And again, like that was like Steve Stamkos, Drew Doughty, all their years, right, to shine. Mm-hmm. And I ended up having a good season, but that was that kind of time where over 2 years, I was just like, I was looking across at all these other guys, first rounders, second rounders, getting this opportunity. I'm like, fuck, I'm way better than them, you know? And that's, again, it sounds cocky or arrogant, but that's just how I thought. And that's how I actually felt. And
that's fucking awesome.
Yeah. I think a little bit of that arrogance ended up working in my favor. There's another guy you guys probably know really well, I feel like had the same mentality to me. And I think it's Andrew Shaw. You know, I always tell Shaw I was Shaw before Shaw, but I feel like he's kind of got that same mentality. Like, you know, he was drafted late. He kind of had that fuck you mentality. Like I'm better than you. And you know, it bleeds throughout a team too. Like look at the Hawks when they had him on the team and how they would play. It's like, it's really infectious and you hate playing. Talk about the guy we can actually pronounce the name, Brad Marchand. When you play against Boston, like shit, I got to play against that arrogant little shit. And off the ice, he's a great guy, right? And guys love him. But when you're playing these guys, it does bleed throughout the team. And as a visitor, you're like, oh, I hate this, right?
No, you got to walk around a little swagger. I mean, everybody's got something that mentally kicks them in the ass, and you know, whatever gets you motivated, you got to roll with it.
Make it a bit, right?
Amen. I do want to ask you about your draft day experience. You're taking the 5th round in 2004 by the Bruins, pick number 124. What do you remember about that day?
I woke up on my mom's front lawn, still shit-faced.
Nice.
So we were.
How it's done.
So what happened was I didn't think I was going to get drafted, and I had safe grad the night before. So basically, you know, you go out with all the kids you graduated high school with, and you have some drinks. And I just remember. I got home at like 6 or 7 in the morning and I'm basically on the front lawn and the draft had already started in Carolina. And my mom comes out crying and my ex-girlfriend's there and they're pulling me inside and she's crying. She's like, you got drafted, you know, you got drafted. I'm like, what the hell, you know? So I went to bed. I wake up like an hour later. There's TV cameras there. They're telling me I got drafted. Rich Sutter's on the phone because I grew up, you know, getting to know Rich a little more in my teenage years because I worked for his hockey school and then I bought it a few years after that. But I remember him calling me and I remember doing like this interview and my head's like in and out of the camera. So it wasn't like this crazy draft experience where you go on stage and the GMs are holding you. It was one more experience where I wasn't supposed to get drafted. Some people thought I might go in the later rounds if a possibility. I went to my graduation not thinking anything of it. and woke up on my front lawn finding out I went in the 5th round. So it was it's a draft experience I'm sure not many have, but it ended up working out.
Hey, that's all that matters, right? So fast forward a little bit. I'm going to walk through your first year in Chicago. I believe that was also Quenneville's first year. Am I mistaken on that?
Yeah, so that would have been my first. So that's the year we're talking about, the rookie of the year. The year before I was up and down, it was Denny Savard. Yeah.
Right. So what would you say? I mean, you talk about your mindset going in, like, I'm better than some of these guys that I'm playing with or against. What do you remember the most about your first season in Chicago? Because I believe that was Kane's second season. You got this insanely good rookie. You end up having a Hall of Fame coach become your head coach. What do you remember the most about that year?
Yeah, so I remember after the fourth game, Quenneville came in, and it was our first practice at this like Johnny's Ice House, and he just took control of the room right away. Q did, just with his presence, and he's got an aura to him as well. There's the greats all do, obviously. And I remember he put me on a line with Kane and Taze, and he basically said, "Don't fuck it up," right? He's like, "Go out," and I was like, "All right." And I ended up playing really good with them. We had a pretty good little line there, but I just remember, he was brutally honest. He got the best out of a lot of his guys, especially with that honesty. And I remember there was little things that, I knew more about him near the end of my career than at the start, but I remember being like, holy, if you're not one of his horses, you got to be ready to play left wing, right wing, center, first line, second line, third line, fourth line, right? Like at that time he had Havlat and Boland, and then he'd have Sharp, and then he'd have Bufflin, and then he'd have or not even Bufflin would rotate, but Sharp, and then he'd have Kane and Taze, and all of us would all rotate and interchange online. So I just remember, like, if I'm going to have to play in the NHL full time for Joel Quenneville, you have to be able to play every position, and you have to play it really well, and you have to be trustworthy. He's going to give you the ability to make plays, especially in the O zone. Unless they're blind plays, which he'd basically tell me where to go and how to get there every time I would do a blind play. But you knew right away where you stood. But the biggest thing I remember early on is, him having that little talk with me, and then realizing I need to be a versatile hockey player if I'm going to have to play for him.
And I think right around that time frame, right, that was the year that Detroit, I think, won the Cup against Pitt, and then the next season Pitt won against them. And then the year you guys won your first one, you had to go through Detroit that year, right?
Well, we never played them in the playoffs, but I remember we thought we were going to have to. That was when they were still in the West. Yeah, so we went through Vancouver. Vancouver was probably the favorites that year.
Yeah.
And even the year before, when we beat them in 2009, they had Matt Sundin. They were unbelievable. They had deep lineup, good team. And then after we won and we were all traded, that's where Vancouver went to the finals and lost to Boston. But I actually think that team Vancouver had in 2010 was better than the one they had in 2011. They were just a little bit deeper, a little stronger, a little bit better D. But overall, yeah, that was crazy. That cup run in 2010 was just out of this world. It was 49 years before they won another one. The electricity every night in the building, the Stanley Cup finals. I remember getting on the ice for the warm up. There's a packed barn, people going nuts. Eminem was pumping that Not Afraid song when it came out. I was like, this is nuts. So a lot of very memorable, spine tingling experiences that you're just like, I can't believe that was even real life.
At what point does that settle down and you're like, okay, this is just another game?
Yeah. So Stanley Cup finals game one, it really wasn't until like the second period. I remember the whole first period, I was like, oh God, everyone's watching, because that's what the Stanley Cup finals is. It's a microscope of the entire hockey world watching two teams play. Everyone watches the playoffs, but it's like sporadic. You're watching 16 teams play throughout. And finally, that Stanley Cup finals, the whole hockey world's watching just two teams play. So every mistake is amplified. Everything you say in the media is amplified. Every little play you make, good or bad, again, it's just everything. The microscope is completely amplified, and you got to be ready for the pressure. Because I remember before game 6, like I didn't sleep the night before, I didn't nap, and I remember being like, holy, I feel horrible. Like I can't fall asleep. I'm all jacked up. Yeah. But it was a crazy experience on how to control your emotions.
Did you know that Kane scored the goal?
No, I just came off the ice, and I remember I was sitting there and I kind of had my arm like this on the boards, laying on the boards, sucking wind a bit. And then I seen him do his little shimmy shake, and he went down the board and he shot it. and I thought it hit the goalie's paddle because I heard a thunk. And then I looked into the netting behind the net, and I was like, and I looked at Bauer. I still remember, I was like, where the fuck's the puck? And he's like, I have no idea. And then all of a sudden, kind of at that same time, Kane's flying around and he threw his gloves off. And I remember thinking, what the hell? Is it in the net? And Brouwer's like, I think it's in the net. And we didn't know, right? So we jump on the ice and Bauer throws his shit off. So I threw my shit off. And I remember thinking in my head, I'm like, if that's not in the net, this is going to be the worst feeling on earth. Like, I still remember it. And then we got down and we're all kind of like hugging and we're all looking down at the other end. And we're kind of waiting to see if the coaches are telling us the puck's in the net. And kind of at that time, I remember the ref, the one linesman, went in the net, grabbed the puck, and you could see it like from far end, you could see him grab it out of the net. And that's when we all knew. And then we also kind of got word from the coaches at the same time. They still say that puck is gone missing, but we for sure, a bunch of us saw it grabbed out of the net. And yeah, that was it. The second celebration kind of started right after that.
So I'm going to hit you with a real vague question that you've probably answered a bajillion times, but what was it like hoisting a Stanley Cup the summer with it? You're our first Stanley Cup champion that's come on the show. So we haven't really gotten people to talk about that experience yet.
Yeah, I just remember being a kid watching Stanley Cup finals, and every time they bring the cup out, it would be Bob Cole. I don't know. Do you guys know Bob Cole? He's most famous hockey announcer. And he'd always be like, and there it is, the Stanley Cup. You know, it's like a pretty cool little saying. And I swear to God, I was like watching it come out, and all I could think in my head was Bob Cole saying this at this moment. And I remember it was there, and I was like, it was almost like, again, it's not like it was real. I still remember getting the Stanley Cup from Kane. Kane passed it to me. And I remember looking up and seeing the Wachovia building, because it was Wachovia Center at the time. And I kissed it 3 times. My dog just recently died. Her name was Hat Trick. But it was, I kissed it for her and for all my family, I remember. And then I turned around and gave it to Nicholas Hjalmarsson. So that was one of the most surreal moments of all time. I'm just glad they got it on picture. And so you can kind of look at it every now and then, or your family or your kid, my kids can now one day. And then the summer with the Stanley Cup was crazy, man. I remember getting it at the start of that. You know, basically it was 48 to 72 hours. And by the end, I was like, you got to take it away. Like, this is too much. But the first time, you know, I bring it to my house, we had a big pig roast, barbecue. Then we brought it to the bar, had a big party. I actually did a game with all the kids I grew up with. We used to play for the Stanley Cup on the street. So I brought all the kids I grew up with on the street, and we played for the Stanley Cup. I got beat, which sucks, but we played for it on my street on the old north side where I grew up. So it was pretty cool experience for that. And then I brought it just kind of around town and took pictures with it at spots that were pretty memorable to me. And at the end of it, and at the end of the day, I remember I went to, or the weekend it was, because it was like almost 72 hours. I brought it to my grandparents. They're the most special people on earth to me.
It's awesome.
I eat pizza with it. And yeah, it was just kind of a neat experience watching them just like sit next to eat pizza and read all the names that my grandfather had been watching for years. Right.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I mean, I think that's probably everybody's dream, is to come back and share it with their family. And, you know, you have your grandparents around. That's obviously, you know, a huge luxury to have. And then I'm going to fast forward just a tiny bit. We could probably ask you 1,000 questions, but for the sake of time, you had a stint down with the Panthers 2 seasons after coming off the cup win. I've been to a game in Sunrise. It's interesting. And you tell me, but if I was a player, I feel like it would be the coolest thing, because it seems like a chill market. Can wear flip-flops year round. You show up to the rink. It's nice weather. There's palm trees. What was your experience down there like?
I loved Florida, especially that first year. That was awesome. We had a team that no one thought could win. We ended up making the playoffs. We ended up winning the division over Washington actually that year. And we lost in game 7, double overtime against New Jersey. And New Jersey ended up going to lose to LA in the Stanley Cup finals. So we had this kind of like team that just banded together. And it was probably one of the most close teams I've ever played against, but also like it was the one that for sure had the least talent and the least ability, but we just knew how to win. It was crazy. We'd win games 1-0, 2-1, 2-0 consistently. We'd score clutch goals all the time. And we actually, believe it or not, we beat New Jersey. Game 7 with like 7 seconds left, I backhanded the puck and Brodeur's glove was in the net. And kind of at that time, it was like wrapped around the post. At that time, the refs went back And the one ref is like, yeah, I think it was in, but I can't call it if I don't know for sure. And the replay, they just couldn't fully say that it was in to end a series, right? So they cut the replay short, but like you go back and you look at Brodeur's glove, it's well in the net. Yeah, it was kind of crazy. And then
it's coming back to me now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they scored it was kind of a lucky goal by Henrique. It ended up being a game winning goal, but it was a bit of a lucky goal that ended it in double overtime. And then after that, like I had to get hip surgery. And then the next year I blew my ACL out, and pretty much it was downhill from there. But the injuries started to mount up in Florida, and I was probably a pain in the ass to be around. And then you just can't carry my cap hit for a team like Florida that can't carry that much money. So especially in those days, like it was great in the sense, like you said, you wear flip-flops. What you did miss is, in the playoffs, they stood up the whole game 7. It was crazy. It was like a college basketball atmosphere. Yeah. So much fun. And you kind of miss that because then the season started the next year, and there's like half the fans, and they are diehard fans, though. I'll give them that. The ones that do go, they're diehard, just like any other hockey market. It's just the rinks in such a shitty location, and it's so brutal for people to get to. But it is a cool hockey market.
Yeah, I've been there once. It was like off kind of like a 2-lane highway, and it's just a giant parking lot, and that's it. It's like kind of in the middle of nowhere.
Pass or something. Yeah, it should be in Miami or close to Hollywood or Fort Lauderdale, somewhere, near the city where people don't have to get stuck in traffic for 2 hours on a weekday just to get there. And then the only place to eat out there is Cheesecake Factory, right? Nothing to do. So, and it's usually closed late. So yeah, it's just a horrible location.
And then, Nick, I'm sorry, you go.
Yeah. What was the transition like going back to Chicago?
Yeah, that was tough. Again, I actually ended up in that 2.5 years, I had the hernia surgery, hip and knee. And I remember Chicago, I was actually at Danny Heatley's house with my friends. We were just having dinner that night, and I got called from Dale that they traded me back. And I remember kind of being a little worried because I'd left Chicago on such a high, and I was playing such good hockey, and I knew they were getting this like broken down, player back. And I was like, these people are going to be like, what the hell happened to this guy? So that 2013-14 year was probably the lowest point of my career, super low. And going back to Chicago and not being able to play the way I could and do what I could was shitty. And obviously with my knee, like I came back after 5 months of the ACL. So I was just a shell of myself. And then I went to work in 2014 summer and had one of the best starts to a season in my career. I was lighting it up, like close to a point a game. And at the Winter Classic, I took a shot from Eric Fair and broke my hand, and I had to get surgery on my hand. So I missed 2.5 months and then came back for the playoffs. We ended up winning the cup, but I just, again, like my hand wasn't good. I missed so much time. And it was just, it was a great way to end, but it was shitty to not end playing the way I started that season. Cause man, again, I think I had 28 points in 32 games. I wasn't even playing consistently power play, but it was close to a point a game. And so it just sucked. It ended that way on the injuries and the playing wise. I ended up playing pretty good in the last few games in the cup finals. But at the end of the day, you still want to be a key contributor. And it wasn't that. So it was a different feeling for winning.
Sure. Absolutely.
How does it compare winning it a second time? I mean, I'm sure it doesn't ever get old, but is it any different or does it still feel just as sweet?
Yeah, it was amazing. I mean, the first time to me, nothing was like that. Obviously I was a bigger piece of the team. Had a lot of game winners and things just worked and clicked so good that year. The 2015 year, again, I was pretty choked about the injuries and issues going on, but the win was almost more of a relief that year rather than like pure euphoric happiness. So that year is almost like, thank God we won. That would have been, to go through all this and not win would have been shitty. So that was kind of the feeling I had at the time. I look back, I'm like, that was pretty, pretty narcissistic feeling to think that way. But that's how I actually felt. But it was more of a relief feeling rather than, pure ecstasy.
I know you, after that season, you wrapped up your NHL career with the Canes and the Flames. Do you want to talk about your experience with those two teams?
Yeah, the Canes was cool. I got to meet, obviously, Ron Francis. I loved watching him as a kid, too. And just great guy and a great manager. But Calgary to me was the pinnacle. I got to finish off playing in my hometown in front of friends and family. I played my first ever NHL game in Calgary. I played my first NHL playoff game in Calgary. I played my last ever NHL game with Calgary. So, and I'm born and raised in Lethbridge, which is an hour and a half away from Calgary. So that's like my hometown team. I grew up idolizing people like, I was talking about Steve Yzerman, but just like Jerome McGinley in Southern Alberta is God, like he's literally God, especially in 2004, 2005, that kind of era when I was like a teenager. Mm-hmm. Everyone loved Jerome. So my first ever shift, I'm standing out there with him. And my last shift, playing with Calgary, playing with his team. So, and I think Calgary was a little bit of a sweet ending in the sense that everyone thought my hockey career was done after, I should have got surgery after the year in LA. I ended up opting out not to. But I ended up showing up in Calgary and having a great year, and we ended up making the playoffs. And then the next year, which sucked, was I came back and still didn't do the surgery because I thought I could keep going. And I twisted real hard on it in Dallas, and that was it. Like I just couldn't move my leg anymore. I gave everything I had. So I tried to come back and play in the playoff, or try to get us into the playoffs at the end of the year, but we were pretty much too far out of it by that point. But at the end of the day, man, yeah, playing in Calgary was awesome. I had an unreal experience, especially that playoffs. It was cool. We got swept by Anaheim, but I thought we outplayed them in 3 of the 4 games. But overall, just to make the playoffs with that team and finish there was great.
Switching gears a little bit, what kind of guy were you in the locker room? Were you the music guy? Were you the jokester? What are we working with?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I like to joke around and have fun with the guys. I also I didn't ever want to be overbearing, if someone's having a shitty day or if you're just constantly telling jokes. I think I'm pretty good at reading people's energy that way. So I like to have fun though and joke around, and also music. I mean, I'd always controlled the music. Not so much off days, but game day. It was always like, you get the guys feeling good. And then by the time you're going out, you're throwing the bangers on, right? And the boys are flying. So it's, I had a science to it, to be honest with you. Like I truly thought about it before the game. Like this is a science. You don't want to be throwing heat early on and getting guys buzzed up. You want to get them feeling good. And by the time the warm-ups come, you want them in full-fledged, flying. So, I was always the DJ, almost heading on the ice, almost on every team I played on.
What were some of your go-to artists? What kind of stuff did you like to play?
So I'd always start off with a little Tropical House,
Nice.
Some rap, depending on what it was. Even the old school stuff, you bring back Tupac and Biggie, but that would be early on. But before you go out, you're throwing Tiesto bangers on, and
let's go.
You're getting them going, whether it be Swedish House Mafia, anyone of that sort. It's like I'm a big EDM fan, and I think that's the stuff that gets you going the best, especially before games.
Speaking my language, I love that.
Yeah. No, I've been to Tomorrowland too, and those festivals.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I actually saw Avicii play out. It was a pretty cool
experience. Wow.
I'll turn my camera here. You got Avicii right there.
Yeah, he's honestly the man. He was I watched him 3 or 4 times in my life. So, but in Tomorrowland, overlooking that crowd in Belgium and watching Avicii play Levels, that was like,
oh God, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Levels got big like right when you guys won your first cup, I think.
Yeah, I think it was 2011 or something like that. It was a little bit after, but I remember first time, so I was kind of always into a little bit of Tiesto and David Guetta and Calvin Harris. And then when Avicii came out with Levels, I was like, what is this?
It changed the game.
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? And then you're out with the boys, and then all your buddies are jumping down. You're going low every time. And every time the beat drops, you're jumping up. I was like, this is way better than this other shit we're listening to right now. So
difference. Yeah, you were listening to that with your boys going out winning cups, and I was playing JV hockey in Baltimore, so a little different, but
it's all the same, man. As long as you're with your buddies having a good time.
Well said. You mentioned you like to, joke around with some of the guys in the locker room. What are some of the best pranks you've ever seen?
Well, there was always lots of pranks. I remember Adam Bursch and Patrick Sharp would always prank guys, whether they'd go into their room before they'd get in it and pull all their stuff out of their room, or they'd turn the heat up, or, there was just constantly stuff going on, especially in that 2008 through 2010. It was nonstop. Jonathan Toews would always set up his pucks perfectly and stick handle around him in practice, and me and Buff would shoot pucks at him, and then he'd flip out and he'd start screaming at us about ruining his stick handling drills. And it was fun, man. There's constant. I remember one time too, me and Buff got into it. And Buff's like one of my closest buddies. So he ended up taking my stick before practice and smacking it over the boards to break it. So I couldn't practice with the stick. So he ended up breaking a stick during practice. And without him looking at it, I threw his stick into the stands. So basically me and him, he doesn't have a stick and I'm using Adam Bursch's stick during practice. And now Buff is freaking out on me. He's like, where's my stick? I'm like, you snapped my stick. He's like, where's my stick? And he winds up and takes a clapper and hits me right in the chest with Adam Bursch's other stick. And then everyone's like, he would have killed someone if it hit him. But it was, that was just something where, it was constant mess. Like I remember going on the ice, and even this is before a game, and Buff would rip the tape off my blade. And I'd be going out to play like Detroit on a Friday night or a Saturday night. I'm like, I have no tape on my stick and I got to start tonight, or I got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to fucking kill Buff right now.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah. He would always do that. He would always mess with guys.
What was young Patrick Kane like? I mean, I feel like people talk about him like he's a rock star in his early days. He's a little tamer now, but how fun was he to be around, and what was he like in practice in the locker room?
Yeah, he was just one of the greatest guys. Me and him were super close. And I mean, he was super close with all the guys, right? He was just a good guy and a good teammate to be around. You could have fun with, talk, joke, go have dinner with. And I think the craziest thing that people think is like, he just shows up to the rink and he's this talented. I remember, again, he was, 19, 20, 21. Before every practice, he was on working on his game. After every practice, he'd be like the last one on the ice, and I'd be like, dude, I'm so tired, I'm off, and he'd be out there working on his stuff. And then I would call him in like June or July, where we just got done playing a long playoffs, and he's back on the ice working on his stuff. Like, most guys can't wait to get off, right? And he just kept staying on, and he kept honing his skills. He keeps staying sharp. And I think that's where a bit of my game deteriorated, is because first off, I had so many injuries, and I could never, for about 6 summers, I was just rehabbing instead of sharpening my skills or staying better. But there's a lot of guys that don't have that, and they'll just kind of stay off the ice and train, where he was always on the ice, trying to get better, trying to do better. And this started at the youngest age. So everyone talked about Taze being serious. Till this day, I've never seen anyone more serious about hockey than Patrick Kane. It's not even close.
Wow. Yeah. No, guilty of that misconception, honestly, because when he was younger, he's just got the sick hands, just shows up in the shootout and dangles
swag,
everywhere.
Yeah. And he's
so easy.
Got so much swag, right? Like, he's so confident, and you're just like, this guy must just show up, and it's a joke to him, but it really wasn't. Like, he obviously is a God-given talent that most of us don't have. And even if he didn't work on his game, he'd still be an NHL All-Star. But the reason he's going to be an NHL All-Star and some is because it's just, the work never ends for him.
Yeah.
I'm curious, obviously you got a chance to play for a lot of different teams. So with that comes a lot of different rivalries. Do you have a favorite team, regardless of which team you were playing for, but was there one team you always got extra kind of amped to play against?
Yeah, I don't know if you, like, how old are you guys? Do you remember
mid-20s,
23 to like 26?
Yeah, you would be right in your mid-teenage years. So I don't know if you remember them, but the Vancouver series with Chicago were like, they were literally war in hockey. Like, not so much, I'm not talking like the 80s or 90s. Like, those guys are nuts. I would never take anything away from them, what those guys went through and how they played. I have no idea how some of them are still standing today, but like, for our day, the mid 2000s, guys were so big, fast. Everyone, after every whistle, someone was getting punched in the head. There was fights every game. There was line brawls every game, all season long, regular season. And then when the playoffs, it was even magnified by another 50. It was fan base. They'd be standing outside our bus, the Vancouver fan base, like thousands of people screaming at us, chanting at us before we'd walk in the building or walk out of the building in the playoffs. They'd be outside of our hotel screaming at us, going into our bus, heading to the rink. It was just, it was an on ice rivalry that, I mean, I remember playing in them, and even when you get to the game, it was like your mind was just going 100 miles a minute. You just couldn't calm yourself down. You're just so jacked to go. Even different than the Stanley Cup Finals. The Stanley Cup Finals was more just like, holy hell, the whole world's watching. This was more like, if I don't keep my head off, it's going to get it's going to get removed off my head. You know,
that's when they had like Kessler and Burroughs and Bieksa and all those guys, and they'd kick the shit out of you.
Rick Rippon, Shane O'Brien, Darcy Hordachuk. You know, they had tough guys, and they had big guys too on the back end. And that's when the Sedins were two of the top in the league, right? Like they had 110 point seasons. I'm trying to think down their lineup. They had a lot of guys though, like even their defense, Ehrhoff, Edler, Salo.
Was Hamhuis there?
Hamhuis was there. Yeah.
And if that's not enough to worry about, you got Bobby Lou and net too, right? So
yeah, no, that was when he was at the top of his game too. So it was, I mean, you ask most of those guys. I talk with Shane Bryan quite often. We're on NHL Network last year, and he's always like, and even Bieksa, we talk if we're ever on Sportsnet. That's the most memorable, I think, series for them too. They easily say, and there's two of them too, or the three for most guys, but the 2009-10 for me.
Yeah. So what are you up to now? I know you're freshly retired. So what's life got in store for you?
Yeah. So I'm CEO and a founder in this new tech startup for sports tech that I've been involved in. I started it with my brother and a partner of mine. He's the coach of the Kelowna Rockets. In March 2020, we started the idea. We were going to be coach consultants, and there was really no tech that easily allowed us to take clips, essential pieces of data, basically that game, annotate and send them back. And now we've created a platform around that simple idea. And Clever is going to be released at the end of October. And we've basically streamlined the clip edit and share process. So the way you take the clip from the camera without taking a ton of useless video, the way you can annotate over that video and send it, whether you're a coach, athlete, or parent. So it's a pretty cool platform, and I think it's going to change a lot of lives, especially in the sports market, any sport.
That's a fantastic idea. And I feel like that's going to be huge, certainly in the areas like where we're from, where a lot of kids are traveling, you know, at least an hour, maybe 2 or 3 or more to get to practice, to play, or, you know, to get the feedback from their coaches. To be able to do it, you know, in 10 seconds, 30 seconds, it's just going to be such a huge help.
It's literally in seconds. It's crazy. And that's who we built it for. We built it for the youth sport market. They're underserved, and it's a very volatile market, and no one's really understood what it's needed, but we've done a ton of data digging and understanding of what's missing. And we believe this is possibly the missing piece.
Yeah. Yeah. No, with how techy is nowadays, it's like, you know, you can find something in a split second, it blows up in, you know, 2 years, and people are like, how did I never think of this? I feel like that happens all the time now. So that's awesome that you're doing that.
Yeah. And we have currently 200 coaches using it, and we're in beta, they call it. Beta is like a testing form of the tech, that we're just kind of hardening the tech now. The features are set, everything's set. We got 200 coaches, you know, 200 parents, athletes, and they all have different uses within the app. Like a parent uses the app differently than a coach will use it, and an athlete will use it differently. And then the way an athlete and a coach and an athlete and parent use it are all different. So it's pretty crazy that we're building this athletic community. I mean, we got rodeo on the app, baseball, basketball, soccer, hockey, obviously. And we're entering through the hockey market, just because obviously I played hockey, especially in that AAA, AA level. That's kind of where we'll be marketing to first. But this app is literally for anyone and everyone.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always cool to see how guys stay kind of involved in sports after their playing careers are done. So yeah,
and it's free. And it's free.
There we go.
Even better.
Yeah. So, but yeah, man. So it's been a different, it's been a whole different world. Let's just say that. But it's been exciting, and I'm excited to see where this can go.
Do you still like keep in touch with the game, the news? Do you still follow?
Yeah, I have to. So I do radio for Calgary, for the Flames, and I also do for the Leafs.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And then Sportsnet asked me to do TV usually once a month. Or once a week, sorry. So every Friday I usually do Sportsnet.
Any thoughts on the upcoming season? I mean, we're going to be doing our season previews here shortly, but I mean, who do you think has a solid chance at the Cup? Do you think the Lightning can do it 3 times?
So I picked Lightning both last 2 years. I'm still kind of going through who I think can do it. Who do you guys actually think?
You got to think Colorado is going to bust through eventually, right? I mean,
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
too stacked.
I don't think the Lightning this year. I think they've lost a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they've lost. I think Yanni Gord and these guys are a little too much, and especially playing that deep 2 years in a row. I mean, they're still going to be a pain. I don't want to say it, but I think Florida's going to have a decent shot.
Yeah, I agree. They're a dark horse.
I
Two
think
teams, two teams that come to mind for me, and I hate to admit it because being a Capitals fan, I really don't want to root for either of these teams, but the Hurricanes and the Islanders scare me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I worry about the Islanders just because I don't think they're allowed to be creative enough to win a Stanley Cup. I think they're pain in the ass to play because they're a veteran team. You know, they play a good system, but you know, Barry Trotz doesn't have Ovechkin and Backstrom and these guys that can do that extra that the Islanders, I don't think, have. So that's why and they're boring as hell to watch. I never want to. They're horrible to watch.
We got a lot of Long Island people that listen.
Oh, sorry. But I actually
let them have it.
Let them have
yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah. All right. Sorry. I always kind of consider, especially Peter Laviolette, he's kind of this coach that figures how to get his team to the Stanley Cup Finals, usually in the first 2 to 3 years of his term. So I wouldn't be totally shocked if Washington can go on a run this year. And again, Islanders too. I think they can go on a run. I just think they're boring as hell. So sorry, everyone out there. But I guess if you're an Islanders fan, you like it.
Exactly.
But yeah, so I mean, through the West though, Colorado's it. I truly don't think Vegas. I kind of think Vegas a little bit like I do like the Islanders. I think they're a hard out, but I don't see them winning 4 rounds.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I have to go look at it again.
What are your thoughts on Seattle? How do you think they're going to fare this year? Do you think we're going to see, like, you know, everyone's asking, are they going to be as good as Vegas, or what's your expectations for them?
I don't think they're going to be that good at all. Yeah, they're not near as deep. I don't know if they really took any players. Like you look at Carlson and Marchessault and these players, Riley Smith, that basically everyone thought they were offloading, but they became studs. Like
Yeah.
they're legit, you know, 20 to 30 goal scorers and 40 to 60 point players. So like, does Seattle have any of those players in their pipeline? Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't really know who they even got for a lot of the players. I think they're going to be a pain in the ass to play against because they clearly went for size and beef on the back end. But I also think they're going to utilize a lot of those pieces to get trade pieces because teams actually see that those players played prevalent roles in the Stanley Cup Finals this last year. So I think they're kind of going to be holding these players as trade chip pieces later on. But yeah, I don't see them being very competitive.
Do the Leafs win a playoff series?
Man, this is a tough one too because I talked Leafs today.
I know. That's why I got you there.
Yeah. So here's the thing with the Leafs. I worry that, like, so Zach Hyman, I have no problem letting Zach Hyman leave because at 8 years for him, I think is obviously it's a long term. I worry about they don't have anyone to fill that type of role.
Mm-hmm.
Like if Connor Brown was still there, he can fill that type of role. I think good enough. I don't think they're hard enough to play against consistently. And I just worry about their coaching. Is he going to make hard decisions in hard times? I haven't seen him do it yet. I don't think he will. I hope he does for the sake of Leaf Nation. But also with the Leafs, though, I think about it like Mitch Marner is going to have to do different things. Like, you know, Patrick Kane, like his game gets better in the playoffs. Mitch's kind of flatlines a little bit. I want Mitch to do well. I really do. So I would be more interested to see if he got any independent help this year rather than like going back to the well and getting coached and taught by the same teachers, because his skills aren't going to get any better. They're already a 10 out of 10, right? He's already one of the most talented players on the league. He needs to know how to go to areas on the ice that are going to help in the playoffs. And that's going to have to be things that get implemented throughout the season. Like I would honestly sit down and watch playoff film of Patrick Kane and show him where he goes on the ice in the playoffs. Like It's not always just on the perimeter. It's not always soft areas. So the X factor for me, if they win a playoff series, it's Mitch Marner. Because if Mitch Marner actually played good against Montreal, the series wouldn't even have been 6 games, right? But he didn't show up, right? And I think if he does show up, they win that series for sure. They win that series, right? And then you never know, they could have gone to the finals. Who knows? But to me, he's that guy. He's the X factor because he's the one who gets Matthews going because he's the passer.
Nick, Mac, you guys got any more questions? I know we're probably close to an hour here.
Yeah, I think I'm all set. Chris, thank you so much, man. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this.
Yeah, this is awesome. Thanks a lot, man.
For sure. Reach out anytime and good luck with this season.
Of course. Thank you.
You too.
Big thanks to Chris for chatting with us. Such a funny guy. That story about like him going out with like all of his high school friends and then finding out that he got drafted after he's like passed out on his mom's front step is just,
that was one of the more interesting draft day stories we've had.
That's all time.
Yeah, I mean, it was awesome. I'm so glad he got to join us for a bit. And like you said, when we introduced him at the beginning of the episode, he really doesn't hold back. He's a super outgoing guy, and he was just a lot of fun to talk to.
First Cup champion too, I think, that we've had on the show.
I think so, yeah.
And he's got 2 of them.
Unless you count my dad.
True, I do count your dad. Let's get to some signings, injuries, trades, and other housekeeping stuff. The Nashville Predators signed Mattias Ekholm to a 4-year contract extension worth $25 million. The Islanders signed Ryan Pulock to an 8-year extension worth roughly $50 million. How are you? Brady Tkachuk stays in Ottawa for another 7 years at an 8.214 per. Boston Bruins re-signed Charlie McAvoy to a monster deal, 8 years, $9.5 million annually. It makes you wonder. And this next signing too, John Klingberg, is asking for an 8x8 extension, and will the Stars re-sign him? But what is Adam Fox going to end up making? It's going to be like 11 a year.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. He's going to be able to name his price pretty much. Like it's funny that fake quote that Harrison read last week or whatever that he thought was real for a second, where it was like I was basically able to name whatever price I wanted. And
yes,
like it's gonna be like that for real.
If you're the Rangers like GM, you're just going, oh my God, please can you chill with the defenseman signings right now, because it's really not helping them. I know they were, everyone was saying they're going to be a huge free agent destination coming up, or they were in the talks for Eichel, but I think all that's out the window now. Some injuries to get to. John Gibson of the Ducks suffered a lower body injury in the contents against the Jets on opening night. Andrew Kopp basically ran him over. If you didn't watch it, it's all over YouTube. Head coach Dallas Eakins just said that's a dirty play, according to Orange County Register's Elliot Tieford. That's what it is. That guy knows exactly what he's doing. He's taking the net. He's going to take the goalie. Our goalie is playing quite well. That's what he's going to do. He gets a 2-minute penalty and we lose our goalie. So at least in Dallas Eakins' mind, it seemed deliberate. Gibson did play Monday night and got the win against Calgary. So he does appear to be okay. Maybe he just got his bell rung in that game or something, but glad to see he's healthy. I know for selfish reasons, pointing to my hat, I want this guy on the Olympic team this year.
For sure. Did you see the hit?
I did.
Do you feel like he was like doing it on purpose, or was it just one of those where he had
it's just like one of those things where it could have been intentional, it could have not been intentional, we're never gonna know.
Look at it later, but that's interesting.
Max Pacioretty is week to week after he broke a foot during the 6-2 loss to the Kings. Coach Pete DeBoer said on Saturday, Pacioretty led Vegas with 24 goals last year. And if you're a Knights fan, it only gets worse from there. Mark Stone is day-to-day with a lower body injury. The 29-year-old had 21 goals and a team-high 61 points last year. So just to recap, both your leading goal scorer and leading point scorer for last year are now hurt if you're a Knights fan.
Division's wide open, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Root for chaos. Sharks defenseman Nikolai Kizhinov will undergo surgery Friday for a lower body injury and will miss 8 to 10 weeks. Max Domi is expected to be out 2 to 4 weeks for the Blue Jackets because of a rib fracture. That sucks. He just came back extra early from an injury. I think they thought he was going to be out until like December and came back the other night. So hope Max gets well. I'd like to see him, find his role there and succeed, because I really do think he's a talented player.
Me too.
Nikita Kucherov was forced to leave midway through the first period of Saturday's game against the Washington Capitals with an apparent lower body injury. Kucherov made awkward contact with Capitals forward Garnet Hathaway and appeared to be in pain. NHL Discussion reported on Monday that Kucherov's injury, is not expected to be a short-term issue and that surgery could be involved.
Yeah, that was a weird play. I watched it about 1 billion times and couldn't quite figure out like what happened still. I was looking for something upper body, but then I realized it was lower body and it must have been something with the leg or like groin area. Didn't seem good based on the way he was reacting. Did you see like Kuznetsov like trying to push him off the ice and help him get off?
Yeah.
Fellow Russians, I guess. But yeah, it was, I don't know. I'm nervous because I feel like this is how they literally like put him on IR, get Eichel, and find a way to like
and
make all that shit work.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you're really gonna hear it from all the fans out there that were giving them shit last postseason. But I don't know. I mean, you never want to see a player get hurt, but that's like their best player. Also, why does it feel like literally Kucherov and Stamkos just trade off every year? They're like, all right, you're going to be this guy. You're going to be the guy this year. I'm going to get hurt. And then the next year it's like, all right, hey, nice season, baby. I'm going to get hurt now. You're going to be the guy. And
enjoy your year off.
Right. They're just switching off being like the number one dude on this team. So I don't know what's up with that, but
it's true. Yeah, it does feel like that. And I know we were given the Lightning shit earlier when we were doing our season preview saying, well, who's going to get hurt so they can shelf them on long-term IR. Well, here you go.
Can you imagine if they had pulled the trigger on like a Stamkos trade and then Kucherov just like out for the year and they're just, oh, no way.
Oh, come on. That's not fair.
Can we have him back? Can we get Stamkos back?
Capo Caco was placed on injured reserve Sunday with an upper body injury. Rangers coach Gerard Gallant says he expects the 20-year-old to miss at least the remainder of the 4-game road trip that the Rangers are currently on. Yeah, not good news if you're a Blue Shirts fan, but you got to do what you got to do. So
at least they got the extra point against the Leafs the other night. That's actually big. They needed that.
Yeah, they did need those points. Some suspensions to get to. The NHL suspended Detroit Red Wings captain Dylan Larkin for a game for roughing Tampa Bay forward Matthew Joseph. If you don't know why, go ahead and just look for the next Red Wings highlight you see, because I guarantee that's going to be it. Joseph
what a hothead play, by the way. That was just so like Bush League. Like you never see stuff in the NHL like that. Usually guys are pretty good at like keeping their composure and just letting the refs and letting the league like handle like the penalties or whatever. But like this was an example of Larkin like getting hit. It was, I guess it was a little bit of a cheap shot or whatever. And then literally just immediately retaliating in like kind of a brutal way.
In like a Marty McSorley kind of like.
Yeah. He just comes in with a haymaker with like like it was like a clothesline. Like
it was almost like an armbar to the face.
It was dangerous. That could have been a lot worse than it was. Yeah, I think also, he's lucky he only got a game, honestly.
I'm like, second round of the playoffs between division rivals, game 4 or 5. Yep, that makes sense. But like week 1 against the Tampa Bay Lightning.
Yeah, and you're the Red Wings. Who cares, dude? Just let.
Who just somehow seem to put up a fight anytime they play the Lightning. So if you ever want a great odds, there you go. But yeah, I totally agree. Hothead play. And I think a game is right here. I think anything more would have been a little bit excessive, but that's, up to DOPS, of course.
I could see 2 games just to really be like, hey, buddy, why don't you think about your actions before you do it? But a game is fine. I do think he deserves a suspension, though.
For sure. Avs forward Gabe Landeskog was suspended for 2 games without pay by the NHL for boarding Chicago Blackhawks forward Kirby Dach. I thought that was, that's a fair assessment for that hit.
And so is this the second game of that he's sitting out tonight?
I believe so.
Okay. And then he'll be back and Nate Mack will be back, right? They'll be good to go.
Yeah. Right. Some rumors to get to. Phil Kessel is still looking to be traded out of Arizona, and the Coyotes are apparently willing to look for a fit for him and try and move him out of there. Philip Forsberg, if he's not extended by the deadline, Nashville could listen to trade offers for him. Personally, I'm a little bit shocked that they didn't do this 2 years ago.
Yeah, they're running out of time, honestly.
Seriously.
How much you want to bet they come to Washington? They're like, all right, so we've had our fun with your guy here.
Right.
Thanks for the last couple of years. If you want him back, he's yours.
Right. Okay. Tarasenko still wants to trade out of St. Louis. I think it'll be interesting to see where he ends up. I think he is going to go at some point. I don't think they're going to hang on to him for too much longer. And then one that seems like it could happen any day now. Dylan Strome will likely be moved from the Chicago Blackhawks. The Sabres, Wild, and Ducks are three teams that are expected to be in the mix. He was seen wearing a healthy scratch jersey at Hawks practice today, which is Tuesday, and has been scratched for a fourth consecutive game now.
I definitely think this is going to happen soon. Maybe by the end of the month. I love a good early season trade to shake things up for the team that's getting rid of him and for the team that's getting him. It's always makes things kind of interesting. And I feel like there's been a lot of good ones over the last couple of years that you see, and they actually like make an impact throughout the year too. So it'll be interesting to see where he lands. I will say out of those three teams you just named, that's like boring city. Like it kind of doesn't make a difference to me if Dylan Strome is getting scratched every night for the Hawks or if he's playing for the Sabres or the Ducks or something. Like
I really hope he doesn't end up on the Sabres.
Same. I also don't. I think the Wild would be cool.
I don't hate
Ducks,
that one. The Ducks, not
kind
really.
of boring. Yeah, but
yeah. So hopefully he ends up somewhere. If you want to come to Washington and take like a serious discount, that could do that.
I was gonna say best we can do. We'll give you $1 million. Right. If you want to play for us, $1 million. Here you go.
$1 million and a bag of peanuts. Why not?
Yeah.
So we do have some gambling trends to get into, but before we do that, Mac is going to tell you guys all about who's powering our gambling picks this year, and that is Sharp Rank.
Yep, that's right. So this season, all of our picks are powered by Sharp Rank. Sharp Rank created the first ever cross-sport rating system, ranking bettors from any sport on one leaderboard that anyone can dominate, even you. Sharp Rank is backed by some of the biggest names in the sports gambling world, such as BetMGM, Betway, and Sports Illustrated. Download the free app for iPhone and Android today.
Absolutely. So it has been a wild first week in the NHL. The first week in the NHL for anyone that's listening is probably the hardest of any sport to bet. I would say it's pretty much up there with like that first round of 64 in March Madness.
It's bad. It's on. I forgot how tough it is. And it's so frustrating because like you're so ready for NHL to be back and you think who's good and who's bad. And you want to like cash in and then you don't know what's going on. And
you remember that last year, you're like, oh crap, my team is no longer, or the team I'm betting on is no longer just playing teams in their division. Now they're playing outside of it again.
Which makes it even harder. Yeah, this is going to be a hard year in general for NHL gambling, but hopefully we get our footing soon. I know we've led the public astray a couple of times early on, but please bear with us. At least we got Blues money line last night.
Yes, and at least we're putting them out there. Zach Hyman props are great value right now, and he's playing on McDavid's line. So, you all know what's going to happen there. I went out of my way to draft this guy like 2 rounds, I think, ahead of where he should have gone in our fantasy draft, solely because he's either going to be playing on McDavid's line or Draisaitl's line.
You know who I went out of my way to draft early on this year that definitely probably got drafted too early, but I'm just taking a gamble. Speaking of gambling, I'm taking a gamble on this guy. I think maybe, just maybe, he's going to have a bounce back year.
Who?
Erik Karlsson.
Wow. Well, he seems to think so.
Yeah, I saw that quote from him the other day. That made me excited because I'm like, ooh, maybe I'm not the only one that thinks this guy can return to his true form.
Yeah, I wonder, he said the other day that he thinks he's still among one of the best players in the world. And I think talent-wise, for sure.
He was like, obviously, I think I am. Like, I loved the way he said it. I thought it was awesome. But
the start of the season is typically your best time to bet underdogs. Your examples are going to be the Pens over the Lightning, the Ducks over the Jets, and the Kings over the Knights. These are times when, youngsters are still inserted in the lineup. Teams may have a little extra jump. Teams are still sorting some stuff out. They're shuffling lines. You never know what's going to happen.
let it be known that out of those 3 examples that you just gave, I lost on 2 of those bets betting the favorite.
There you
The
go.
I
See?
bet the Knights and the Jets in
Yeah.
2 of those 3 games and got my butt kicked. So
Yeah, Winnipeg not looked good out of the first 2 gates. I know Harry has jumped on them. I have a staunch religious belief that I will never bet on that hockey team ever again.
when did you decide that?
2 years ago. They screwed
Really?
me so many times in 1 year that I was like, nope, that's it, never again.
I was so strong on them for that opening game too, that Harry was big on that.
Mhm.
I felt so good about that too. And I just couldn't have been more wrong. The Ducks just beat them, and it wasn't even like they didn't look good at all.
They
Like it was
spanked
not,
them.
yeah, it was, God, it's frustrating.
Pittsburgh looks good. Decent value with Crosby being out. Heinen's got 3 goals in 3 games. That's around plus 300 if you keep your eye on it. They also have hit their over in all 3 games so far. I wonder why.
It's like Forever Blue Shirts said, is some random guy scoring for the Penguins like every time. They had that other guy,
Seriously.
what was it, like Mick something or O something. It was one of those apostrophe last names that scored his first goal the other night. I'll pull it up and
I'm not
figure it
sure.
out, but
The Ducks, obviously, you know, John Gibson would have been a concern, but it seems like he's back in. So while they have momentum, continue to ride them. I know that they're not the most exciting team out there, but like we mentioned, it's a good time for underdogs. They might be able to knock over, you know, one of the big boys and get you some points. Plus, if it's an interdivision game, you know, the Pacific really isn't that strong. They do give some teams a lot of trouble.
Drew O'Connor. That's the guy. And that's the exact example of what Forever Blue Shirts was telling us is
Yep.
like, you can always just look at the Penguins like box score thing at the end of the night, and you'll see some random guy had like a goal, maybe even a goal and assist for just like, okay, buddy. All
Yep,
right.
of course. So now, since Harrison is gone, we're going to start part 1 of the 4-hour lecture series on why Alexander Ovechkin is better than Sidney Crosby. No, I'm kidding. But we do have a quick game before we wrap up here. This idea comes to us from the lovely people over at Bar Down. Mac and I are going to try and see if we can count from 1 to 99 using NHLers jersey numbers. So, you know, naming the player and counting up from 1 to 99 to see, or at least how high we can get. They can be current or they can be former, because if we were just doing one or the other, I don't think either of us could get this.
No, we need all the help we can get here.
How do you think we're going to do?
I can tell you right now, the like 90% of mine are going to be either current or former Washington Capitals, because I just know those numbers very well. I'm a nerd with that kind of stuff. So
I was going to say, I feel like you and I both, it's like numbers 1 through 16 are going to be Caps players.
Yeah. All right. You want to start or you want me to start?
I'll start. Number 1, and I won't do a Caps player. In fact, I'm going to throw it way back for number 1. That's going to be Johnny Bauer, the goaltender for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
All right. I like that a lot. I'm going to pull a good name here for you that I think you're going to be like, holy shit, I forgot that guy even fucking existed.
Brian Pothier.
And Yep. Brian Pothier. Is that what you were thinking too?
Yep. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
You know what's crazy? It's not like I'm thinking Matt Niskanen who won a Stanley Cup with the Caps.
I know.
Brian Pothier.
Brian Pothier. Why does that? Yeah, that's hilarious. But
and I'll give you another one for number 3, Tom Poti.
That's what I was gonna say for Tom Poti, or for 3 as well, if I had started and then gotten 3. While we're on the theme, John Erskine,
number 4.
Yep.
Number 5, Mark Giordano.
Ooh, okay.
When he was with the Flames was number 5, right?
I think he was. That sounds right to me. I don't know if you want to check it, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Sounds right to me. Number 6, Michael Kempney.
That's a good one. Number 7, Matt Cullen wore number 7 in Minnesota.
Did he really? I feel like 7 is such a ballsy like NHL number for some reason.
Yeah. Or Dougie in New Jersey is now number 7, right?
Oh yeah, he might be.
Yeah. Gio is 5 by the way.
Okay, cool. So I know everyone thinks I'm going to say the number that's on the wall right behind me, but I want to, I want to keep it a little interesting. I've just proved to you guys that I know some other numbers that aren't capitals. We're going to go Teemu Solani for number 8.
It's a good one. Also, we're like not looking these up or have a list in front of us. We're
No.
doing them off the top of our head until we make our guess.
Until we don't know anything. Yeah.
Number 9.
Number 9.
Nice. Paul Correa.
Ooh, great legendary player. I had a little action figure of Paul Correa when I was growing up.
Backyard hockey. Come on.
Definitely. 10. There's 2 guys that I want to say. I'm going to say them both. Matt Bradley and Mike Ribeiro.
Oh, no, Ribeiro was 9.
Oh, was he actually?
Yeah.
Did he maybe wear 10 with the Stars or something like that?
He was 63 with the Stars.
All right. Well, I guess
maybe he wore 10 with like the Preds.
Maybe. I thought he did, but anyway, Matt Bradley then, just to be safe.
11. Someone out there has to be 11. There's old caps that are 11.
I'm thinking of one guy that I don't know if he for sure was 11, but for some reason I'm remembering him as 11. Let me check if I'm right here. Can you hear me typing away?
Calle Johansson was 6, not 11, right?
He was definitely 6.
Okay. Mike Gartner was 11.
Oh yeah. Okay, there you go. For some reason, I thought that Yaskin wore 11 with us, but that is not correct.
Okay.
On to 12 for me. Another all-time classic from our era growing up, Jerome McGinley.
Nice. Iggy. Cover of NHL 2003, best soundtrack of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. 13. Big 1, 3. Johnny Ham and Cheese.
Ooh.
Johnny Hockey.
Nice. Yeah. I was gonna wasn't Miroslav Shatan number 13 for the Islanders?
I think so.
That was the one
it's
I
a
was
good
gonna
one.
pull out of my ass for that one.
Yeah. This is 14, this is so hard, by the way.
This is harder than I thought.
Yeah.
14, I'll go Justin Williams, right?
Yeah. Nice. 15. Who's 15?
Oh, I might know.
Jack Eichel in his rookie year wore 15.
Did he really?
Yep. Harry has that jersey, by the way. He tried to trade me 1-for-1 for my Matthews, and I said no.
That's hilarious. Wow. Yeah. Here's a pic. Yeah, I just pulled up a picture of him wearing 15 his rookie year.
Nice.
Bonkers. The more you know. Okay. This one is weird because Eric Fair wore 16 for the Capitals, but he didn't always wear 14 or 16.
Correct.
If you remember, there was a little bit of shuffling that went on between him and Tomas Fleischmann.
Yep.
Because I believe Fleischmann wore like 43 or something like that.
He did, and then went to 14
after Fair switched from 14 to 16.
Yep.
Yeah, it was weird. So anyway, Eric Fair, number 16. 2-goal Winter Classic guy.
Yeah,
by the way.
Big time. 17. Isn't Marcus Foligno 17?
Let me check it here.
If not, I think Galchenyuk wore it too at some point.
Galchenyuk definitely sounds right that he wore.
Or Jaden Schwartz.
Or sorry, 7. Oh, Foligno 17. Yeah,
cool.
So that'll work. Let me think here. I'm on 18. Let me see. 18. I'm trying to think of a capital that were 18. You have one in your head right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on. For some reason there's got to be like another.
You know this one. I know you know this one.
Why do I feel like I'm picturing somebody on the Lightning right now.
There's an 18 on the Lightning right now.
Is it Palat?
It is.
Is Andre Palat?
Yep.
Okay. For some, I was gonna say Sorelli at first, but it's Palat, right?
I think Sorelli is Sorelli. He's 71.
Okay. Oh, yeah. All right. Well, Andre Palat is 18. Who were you thinking of?
Matty Pettinger.
Oh my God, Matt Pettinger. God damn. I should have, yeah.
19, Nikki Backstrom, of course.
Got to.
Or
Got
Stevie
to.
Y or Joe Sakic or Jonathan Taves or I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of great 19s out
Right.
there. 20, I always think of a few different players because 20 is like my number when I was growing up. I originally chose it because of Rico Fata. I don't know if you remember him. Rico Fata, Fata. He played for the Caps. And one of my first coaches, Coach Bo Leslie, told me when I was younger that my playing style reminded him of him because we were both like small forwards that just would like grind around the net for like loose change. And so I originally took 20 for that reason. But nowadays when I think of 20, I usually think of like Ryan Suter.
That's a good one. Who else did I have? I had someone else for 20. Oh, Evgeny Nabokov.
That's a good one. Yeah. Goalie. Not a lot of goalies wear that number.
Yeah. 21, Braden Point.
Nice. Thought you were going to go Brooks like.
True. Could have done that.
22, Kev Shaddy Deuces.
Nice. It's a good one. 23. Ready
Takes
for
a
this?
man to wear the double deuce.
Yeah. Ready for this one? 23.
Yeah.
Milan Jurchina.
Oh, juicy. I love Milan Jurchina, dude. That guy was awesome. And then he ended up on the Islanders after the Caps too.
Yep.
I'm on the 24, huh? Okay. Oh, this is gonna be a deep cut, but I gotta check if I'm right real quick. Please tell me this guy actually wore number 24. Oh, let's go. Aaron Volpatti.
Wow. Throwback.
Yeah.
I would have never gotten that.
Yep. 24 for the Caps. Volpatti.
25, Jason Chimera.
Oh, of course. Chimmer. Legend. 26, Sean Morrison, right?
And Matt Hendricks.
True. Oh, I love Hendricks. That guy was awesome.
Yeah.
That guy was a really
the shootout
fun player.
move. Yeah.
Oh, the paralyzer, dude. Yeah, that guy was crazy.
Yeah, him and Sam Gagne have that thing down pat. 27, I gotta go AK 27. That's Alex Kovalev. Sickest hands I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, that guy was a legend. 28, Alexander Semin.
Of course. Another guy with some of the sickest hands I've ever seen. 29, Nathan McKinnon.
30, Hank the Tank Lundqvist.
31, Carey Price.
Oh yeah, I think so. Right.
Mm-hmm. This is like now it's gonna get really hard.
It's goalie territory right now.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go 32, Jonathan Quick.
Nice. 33, Zdeno Chara.
Oh yeah, Big Z. 33. 34, Austin Matthews. 35, Anton Khudobin. Yep. It's another big there's a lot of goalies that were number 35.
Yeah.
Let's see. 36. Now we're getting a little tricky. 36.
Ooh, I have one.
Who does he play for?
Old school Dallas Stars. Shootout legend. He was like the first guy to get the shootout down pat.
Dallas Stars legend.
Played for the Canes for a while, a couple big playoff goals for them, early 2000s.
Oh, man.
Had a brother that played in the league too. Played
not
for
one
the
of
Panthers.
The Stalls.
No.
Hit me.
UC Jokinen.
Ooh, that's a good one. He was 36.
I think so.
Nice. All right.
37, Patrice Bergeron. Right?
Yep, that's the one I was thinking of too. 38. We actually, it's funny that I know this, but 38, we mentioned this guy on the podcast like a couple of weeks ago, and I was saying that I feel like he's an old man, even though he's like not.
Boone Jenner.
Boone Jenner is
Wow.
38.
I was like, who in the hell wears 38?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
39, Anthony Mantha.
Yep, there you go. Logan Couture also wears 39.
True, that's a good one.
40. Varley used to wear 40, right?
He
But
did.
Now he's number 1 though. So I
Yeah.
don't know if that counts.
It does.
Well, we could do Tuca.
Tuca also wears 40. 41, Jarl Halak.
Nice. 42, Joel Ward.
Yep.
And
43.
Jackie Robinson.
And Jackie Robinson. Big time Tommy Wilson.
Oh yeah. 44, Brooks Orpik.
Or Roman Hammerlick.
Oh, let's go. Hell yeah.
45. Who was 45?
Now we're in a dangerous area.
All right, don't ask me how I know this, but Mark Scheifele's rookie year, he wore 45 instead of 55. I swear to God, look it up.
I am looking this up.
Yeah. Well, we have to fact check.
Scheifele rookie year images. Oh, is that a 4 on his jersey? That is. Holy shit.
Let's
That's
go.
hilarious. Wow. That's a deep dive. 46. Okay. 46.
You got this.
Capital?
Not the one that I'm thinking of.
Is he current? The one you're thinking of?
No.
How far removed?
This guy and his twin brother played against the Caps when they were on the Preds. They were on the Canadians together. I could never tell them apart. They're twins.
What twins besides the Sedins?
Or I don't know if they're twins. I guess they might just be brothers. The Kostitsyn brothers, Andre or Sergei Kostitsyn. One was 46.
Oh wow! I didn't know. Are they twins?
I don't know. I could have made that one up.
Okay. Well, either way, let's keep it moving.
47. Rich Peverly.
Yeah. Peverly, 47.
Yeah.
Wow. 48 Hurdle in San Jose.
It's a good one. Is there anyone else that wears 48?
I don't know. That's the only one that like comes to mind.
Is Matt Grzelcyk 48?
Maybe. That doesn't sound too far off.
Okay.
Grzelcyk Bruins. I think he wears 46.
And did I get the Peverly one right? Can you check on that one?
Let's see.
Because if not, I'm going to say Torrey Krug for 47 and Rich Peverly for 49. I think I might have got those backwards.
What did you say Peverly was?
47.
He is.
Okay, he is 47.
Well, he was with the Stars. He was 49 for the Bruins, it looks like.
I'm not going to use him again. So what's another?
Who the fuck wears 47 and 49?
Who wears 49 in the NHL?
I mean, you could double use him since we just found out that he.
Yeah, I'm going to use Torrey Krug for 47. I'll use Peverly for 49. That way, I don't.
You go.
Take the cheap way out.
Good call. Number 50. There's a goalie definitely that wears 50.
He also has a shrimp stand.
Corey Crawford.
Yeah,
that's hilarious. That's so funny. Wow, nice one.
51. I know there's a 51 out there. 51.
I'm picturing like a Blues jersey for some reason, but I can't think who.
A Blues jersey. Are you thinking like David Perron because he's 57?
Maybe. Or what did David Backes wear?
42.
42. Yeah, you're right. Okay. I was gonna say
51.
Maybe a goalie.
Is that Shane Wright's number? But that's not the NHL, so that doesn't count.
There's gotta be defenseman.
There has to be a defenseman with 51. Steve Oleksy was 61. I don't want to go out on this one.
This is tough. I might be I might be
Thinking like
spent.
Bruins too. I don't know why
Yeah.
I'm thinking Bruins.
How about I look it up and then give you a hint?
Okay.
All right, let's see. Oh, okay. We were right about a defenseman. This is a current defenseman. Maple Leafs.
Jake Gardner.
Yep, there you go.
Okay, there we go.
52, Mike Green.
Nice. 53. Ready for this? Derek
Uh-huh.
Morris
Ooh.
with the Yotes.
Wow. That's a deep cut. 54. This might be a little tricky too.
54. Who wears 50s in the NHL unless they play for like the Bruins or the Penguins?
Was God.
Oh, big guy for the Bruins. Used to beat the crap out of people.
You're gonna have to narrow it down. Big guy for the Bruins, used to beat the crap out. That could be about 25 different people.
Played defense, helped them on the cup run in 2011.
Oh.
Always
Okay.
a, like, you know, big guy, but a guy that could really, really throw him. Like Chara is a big guy, but this guy could
Yeah.
flat out fight.
It's not shit. Hold on. Who am I thinking? Oh, Adam McQuaid.
Yep, you got it.
Yes. Okay.
55. I already said Mark Scheifele. Who else is 55? Noah Hannafin was 55 in Calgary.
Wasn't Jeff Schultz also 55?
Jeff Schultz was also 55 in DC.
There you go. 56. I've always been a big fan of this guy, and I also, for some reason, used to really like the Wild. So Eric Haula.
Sergei Zubov.
Oh, true.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like Eric Haula. 57. Catch-up number. Who wore 57?
True.
Someone has to wear 57.
Probably another defenseman if I had to
Probably
guess.
another defenseman. I don't know why I keep going back to Bruins defensemen, but
They do seem to have a lot of those like 50s and like 60s.
yeah. Oh, we just talked about him, David Perron.
Oh, right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You basically gave that away a couple numbers ago.
Yeah.
58, Chris Letang.
Nice. 59, Jake Gensel.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah,
Nice.
right?
I think so.
Yeah.
60. Okay. Oh, Jose Theodore.
Zach Fucali.
Oh, there we go.
61, Steve Alexi, right? He was 61, right?
I think he was.
Okay.
Yeah. 62, Hags, Carl Hagelin.
Nice. 63, I'll go ahead and use Mike Ribeiro.
Nice. 64. That's that Beatles song, right? 64. Fuck, this might be a hard one too.
First overall pick for the Oilers.
Wait a minute. 64. Like a recent overall pick?
Yep. Like one of their three one of their four first overall picks in the last 20 years.
It's not Draisaitl. It's
Not McDavid, not Hall, not Nugent Hopkins.
fuck.
Up there for biggest first overall pick busts of all time.
Oh, like did not work out.
Mm-hmm.
What was his name? Not Kachuk, but it's
Yakupov.
Oh, Yakupov. Okay. I
Yeah.
was thinking somebody
Wasn't
else.
he 64?
He might have been. I don't remember what number he was. Let me look it up.
65,
Yakupov.
Erik Karlsson.
64 was Yakupov. You're right. Good call. 65, Erik Karlsson. 66 is Hosang for the Isles.
Josh
Yeah.
Hosang, and no one
Yeah.
else has ever won
Yeah,
that number.
exactly. I don't know. I always remember that.
Yeah, 67.
I know one. I don't know if he's
67?
I don't know if he still wears this. Let me do some research real quick. Yeah, he still wears it. I was picturing him wearing it with the other team that he
Okay.
got famous for, but now he's on another team. We mentioned him in this episode because he's injured. It's a big blow for this team. Division's wide open now.
Oh, Patch.
Yep.
Nice.
68. No, there's somebody I always get confused with Mark Stone. Not it's Hoffman, right? Hoffman
is 68.
I always get those two confused for some reason because they were both on Calgary, right? Or not Calgary, Ottawa.
Mm-hmm.
And then both got traded too, right?
Yep. That's a good one. 69.
I don't think anybody wears 69. Right?
Andrew Desjardins for the Sharks, I think, is like the only player to have ever worn 69 really? As like
I can't think of anybody that does.
Yeah. I read an article about that from, it was like Bleacher Report or someone.
70. I'm wearing his jersey right now.
Holt. Nice. 71. Evgeny Malkin.
Yep, that's what I was gonna say too.
Yeah.
Bob wears 72 in Columbus.
He does.
Which I've never understood why. It's kind of a random ass goalie number, but
73.
I know one because I always draft this fucking guy on my fantasy team.
Connor Sherry.
Oh yeah, he does. You're right. I was thinking of Tyler Toffoli though.
That's a good one too.
Johnny Carlson, 74. Got that jersey behind me.
Ryan Reeves, 75.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of too. PK, 76.
Nice. 77. Joe Corvo.
Oh, no way. That's a great one. I was thinking of Hedman.
Osh. Yeah.
Well, Osh too. Yeah.
Yeah.
78. That it's got to be like a grinder or something, like a Joe Corvo kind of guy, you know?
Yeah.
Let me see. This one I may need a hint for if you want to look one up.
This one I will try and look one up, and
if there even is one. Like I feel like who wears 78?
This is a throwback. Unfortunately passed away in the locomotive plane crash, played for the Canucks and for the Kings. He also wore 38.
Shit. I totally know who you're talking about. Is his name start with an A?
Starts with a P. Initials are PD.
PD. Shit. It's not Dupuis. He wasn't in all that.
No.
And he wore a different number.
Pavel Demitra.
Oh, Pavel Demitra. Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to pull that one out, but that
what are we on? 79?
Yeah.
79. I'm thinking defenseman.
Why do I feel like the Predators maybe have somebody that rocks 79?
Andrei Markov.
Ooh.
For the Canadians, I think we're 79.
Wasn't Brizgalov 80?
I think so. I could be wrong.
Where the hell is Briz these days?
Who knows? You know who else was number 80? Was Nick Antropov.
There you go.
Yeah.
I had him on my fantasy team years ago.
Yeah. 81, Big Haas, Marian Hossa.
True. I was going to say Phil Kessel because we talked about him earlier too.
Mr. Hot Dog.
He'll be on the USA team, right?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. He'll be the GM of the USA team.
Oh yeah. I believe that the other Foligno wears 82. Marcus. Yeah.
Wasn't he 17?
Oh, I thought you said Nick Foligno earlier.
I might have. I think you're right. Yeah, I did. 82.
Do you want to double check me on that?
Yeah.
We're getting further than I thought
We are
were.
getting further up.
But we're running into some random ass numbers along the way that we needed help with. So I guess we
Yes,
didn't
you
pick
are
up yet.
correct.
Okay.
That brings us to what, 83?
Yes, sir.
Oh, our puppy dog, Jay Beagle.
Exactly.
Took me a minute. I was like, I know someone who's 83.
Yeah, I was having fun watching him play the other night. Winning some draws as usual.
Yeah, must be nice.
84, there's a classic legend that I'm thinking of. Are you thinking of the same guy?
Who?
Chris Chelios?
Did Chris Chelios wear 84?
I think he did.
I thought he was 24.
Oh, you might be right.
He was 7 with the Hawks and 24 with the Habs.
Shit.
Who
do we got for 84? Give me a hint. That's the only one I can think of.
I have one in my head, and he was a cap for like a cup of coffee.
Oh god.
Also was on the Islanders. He was on the Leafs. Shootout wizard.
Nylander?
No. You'll know this one. Had that sick spinorama shootout move against the Sabres when he was with the Leafs.
Oh god. Leafs, Isles, Caps. Shit.
Mikhail Grabovski.
Oh, Grabovski. That's right.
Yeah.
He was 84, wasn't he?
Yeah. 85.
That's one of my favorites of all time to play for the Caps. I literally had his Winter Classic.
Oh,
jersey.
Matty P, our other Matty P.
Yep. 86, Kucherov.
Nice. 87. Donald Brashear.
Nice. Yeah. That's
No
the only
other
one
player.
I can think of.
No
Yeah,
other player
I can't
has
think
ever
of any
worn
other.
87.
88, Patty Kane.
Of course.
Doesn't Vasilevsky wear it too?
He does. 89, Alexander McGillney.
You should have said Tyler Sloan.
I could have said Tyler Sloan, or Sergachev's 98.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pocket that one. We're gonna need it in a couple minutes.
We are.
90. MJ90, Marcus Johansson.
Yeah. And Joe Veleno on the Red Wings.
Two of his sticks right behind me.
Nice.
MJ90.
91. Geez. Oh wow. I don't know if there's anyone in the NHL that has the number 91.
A lot of good ones, honestly.
But I'm gonna have to go
Past and
with
present.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with my favorite 91 of all time, which would be Sergei Fedorov.
Yeah, that's what I was hoping you would say. 92, Michael Nylander.
There you go.
Was 92. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. 93. 93. Not Mitch Marner. He wore 93 with London.
No, there's somebody, I think.
There has to be someone with a 93.
Do you want me to look one up and give you a hint?
Can you look at, is it Christian Fisher? Is he 93?
He is let's see. That's when he was with Adirondack. Looks like he's rocking a 36.
Damn it, that's right.
Yeah. Here's one. How about I believe he just got traded or just signed with a new team. He was a Flyer forever.
Voracek.
Yeah, there you go.
There we go.
94, and please tell me I'm right about this. Corey Perry with the Habs, isn't that
you
what
are correct? Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
That was
Cool.
his number in London too.
Sweet.
95.
That's an interesting one.
Didn't Trevor Daley wear 95 the year the Penguins won the Cup?
Ooh, that sounds right to me. I also think didn't Burakovsky wear? Isn't that what he wears for the
Yes, that is what he wears now.
Because somebody
Yeah.
else has 65 or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're good
No,
there.
Trevor Daley was something 6.
Speaking of the Avs, the young stud Mikko Rantanen for 96.
True. 97. That's where we're at.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone in the NHL wears 97.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Connor McDavid. Duh.
There you go. And then 98 to close us out is we just said it, Sergachev.
Yep. And then 99. Duh.
The one on the wall behind me.
Point to the one on the wall. Yep. The goat. Gretz. Wow, that was hard.
We didn't quite get it. We needed some help
Yeah.
at points, but it was fun.
Yeah.
Good
I
times.
couldn't do that like blind or like without any sort of like hints whatsoever. I
Yeah,
don't think
it's
I could
tough.
get past like 10.
Yeah, definitely.
Alrighty, well, that wraps it up for us today. Thank you for sticking with us. We'll be back next week. A lot of fun stuff coming at you guys. Some more great interviews. Ton of hockey action coming up in the next couple weeks. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And you got anything else before we sign off?
I think I'm all good. Hopefully I'll have some beer league stories maybe next week. We got a big game coming up this weekend.
Sounds great. Go get them. Alrighty, everyone. And without further ado, class dismissed.